Okay, let's get started. Welcome to VAFMA and Clean Fairfax's webinar, Getting to Greener, How Markets Can Get to Plastic Free. I'm Mary Delicate with the Virginia Farmers Market Association, and we are very pleased to have Jennifer Cole and Zach Huntington of Clean Fairfax presenting today. During our Virginia Farmers Market Conference in November, their session was very popular, and we had many requests for more information on this important topic. Jen has been executive director for Clean Fairfax since January 2009. She served as the president of the Virginia Council on Litter Prevention and Recycling. She's a member of the Beekeepers Association of Northern Virginia, the Virginia Recycling Association, and serves on the county's trash team. Before moving to Northern Virginia, Jen worked in Providence, Rhode Island, developing and managing urban agriculture and community gardens, community forestry, and advocacy via environmental law. Zach is the Clean Streams program manager for Clean Fairfax. He is a Virginia native and lifelong outdoorsman with a passion for clean water. He received his Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science with a concentration in natural resources and conservation, and is currently pursuing an MBA with a concentration in environmental compliance and sustainability. So they know what they're talking about. Today, they're going to share with us products and programs that markets and farmers can use instead of single-use plastics. They will also discuss ways markets can promote their sustainability to reach new customers. If you have any questions during the presentation, there's a comment section or a little button down at the bottom of your screen, and you can click on that and add in your comments, and they'll stop periodically and answer your questions. I'll now turn the webinar over to them. Let me unmute you. Okay, Jen and Zach, take it away.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for taking some time out of your day to have this conversation with us. So we are Clean Fairfax. We are the two-person team. Our mission is to encourage environmental stewardship and sustainability in Fairfax County, and then we'll work across Virginia when the opportunity presents itself. So we work to reduce littering and encourage recycling, reusing, and reducing consumption. We do that through outreach programs like this, education programs with schools, community involvement with HOAs, farmers markets, Boy Scout groups, Girl Scout groups. And this is our 35th year. We are celebrating with a fun Earth Day event this year in Herndon. If anyone's going to be around, you can get more up on that.
With beer.
With beer, that's important. So Jen and I are not farmers. We only have an outside connection to farmers and farmers markets in that we like to eat food. And over the last 3 years, we've spent a lot of time at Fairfax County farmers markets with the goal of eliminating single-use plastic bags. So as you look at the screen, this is what we're confronted with when we go into a farmers market. It's plastic bags on every post. And so we have the arrows there just to kind of highlight it for you. So we look for solutions that can change the status quo. So through this effort at farmers markets, we've spent time speaking with vendors, customers, market managers on ways that they can reduce their plastic use. And after all of these conversations and the interactions I had with all of you down at the VAFMA conference in November, it's abundantly obvious that people want an option other than single-use plastic at farmers markets. And we are really excited to get this going. So in our work at farmers markets, one of the first things that we did this year was we started a Leave a Bag, Take a Bag program. And that's as simple as it sounds. So if this program was actually just started with bags that Jen and I had at home. So every conference you go to, they're giving you a free tote bag. And we had a closet full of tote bags. So we spoke to the market managers at 2 of the markets that we work with and pitched the program to them, and they loved it. We were able to start this with less than $100. I think it was a total of $94, and that was just to have 4 signs made, like the ones on the screen. So the idea behind this is that if you have extra bags at home, bring them in and the market manager will cycle them back to the community. If you have forgotten your bag when you show up to the market, you can get one for free. And it's just little things like that to start creating the conversation and pushing for change. So we have entered into farmers markets because they're filled with our target audience. People go to farmers markets because they want access to nutritious local food that you can't get at a grocery store. On average, food travels about 1,000 miles from the point of production to the retail store. And now, as someone who shops at farmers markets, one of my main motivations is that I like to know the people that I'm purchasing my food from are the same ones that are growing it, but the same ones that are eating it. It just makes me feel good. And being that we live in an urban area, it gives us a connection to the land. And you all are from our community. Right? In Fairfax County, all the food's coming from within 125 miles, and that's an easy day drive if I'm going fishing or hiking somewhere. So the list of reasons why single-use plastic bags are bad for farmers is pretty long. Most notably, they're harmful or deadly to livestock if livestock gets a hold of them. Microplastics are building up in the soil, degrading soil quality. There's also emerging evidence that microplastics are having a negative impact on the life cycle of earthworms, which is a pretty big deal for farms. And they can also, one bag can ruin an entire bale of cotton. And I'm guessing that's the same for other machines that are used in the harvesting process. I'm guessing all of you could tell me more about that than I know. So to take our study a step further at the farmers markets, we started giving out machine washable produce bags. And this was started before my time at Clean Fairfax. And it's been going on for 3 years. And this year we took it up a notch. We ended up putting 2,000 machine washable produce bags into 2 different markets. One of them, we supplied 1,600 bags over a 6-month period. The other one, we supplied 400 bags. The idea behind this was to get all of those plastic bags off posts. And so we provided the plastic bags or the produce bags to managers, to customers and vendors, so we could start the conversation and really start to see the change. So after about 3 months of this program this year, we took an hour at one of the markets and we stood in a central spot so we could see as many of the booths as possible, and we counted every plastic bag that we saw get pulled from a dispenser. There was 244 plastic bags over 1 hour, which was not what we were hoping to see. And so we continued our work at these farmers markets, and at the end of the 6 months, at the beginning of October, we went out and spent another hour counting every bag we saw get pulled from a dispenser. We counted 256 plastic bags that time, and only 14 of the reusable produce bags. And at that time, we had given out the full 1,600 at that market. We were really hoping to see more than 14 of these bags. So to get a better idea, we continued our study. We spent the next hour watching one vendor who only sold produce. They used 76 single-use plastic bags during that 1 hour, only 6 reusable bags. Now, if that were extrapolated out for the entire farmers market season, it would be about 10,000 single-use plastic bags from one vendor. That's a lot of bags that are getting used. And if every vendor at Fairfax County farmers markets used 50 plastic bags, it would result in 250,000 single-use plastic bags.
And I just wanted to chime in here as a farmers market user, that we all have our favorite farmers markets, and even though this is anecdotal evidence, I would guess that a lot of the people that we gave those 2,000 produce bags to kept coming back over the course of the season to the same farmers markets. That it isn't a one and done kind of thing. So we believe that many of the people we gave our reusable bags to didn't reuse them because there were so many plastic bags available to them all the time.
And so in this program, it wasn't just us throwing produce bags for people to use. These came with hundreds of conversations with customers, managers, and vendors, because the conversation is what makes it really important. It helps people see that there's a different way to use things. Right? We've only had single-use plastic bags since 1982. People got along great before them, and will continue to do well after them. And so this is just a graph breakdown of the projected bag use of all vendors if they're all using 50 bags every week. And so, and that's just one county in Virginia that contributes to the 100 billion plastic bags that we're using in the US every year.
That are only 1% are recycled.
Right, and eliminating plastic bags would not only have an impact on your market, it's good for the planet. 1,500 plastic bags made from natural gas, which is the most common feedstock, consumes about 33 pounds of fossil fuel and 58 gallons of fresh water. Fresh water is something that's really important to farmers. And so the reason that one network of farmers markets can get to 250,000 is because they're just there. So you see the picture, people are grabbing them because it's just what we've always done. So part of this is just creating new habits for market customers. The other picture there is the pile of bags that I have collected at farmers markets, just piled up in my cubicle as we were going through them.
Yeah, Zach would trade people's plastic bags for the reusable bags, and then we would count them at the end of the day.
And so this is same market, same day, just from the other side. And so as you look down the market stall, no matter what direction you're looking at, there are plastic bags. And that's not something that people want to be confronted with when they go to get their fresh produce. And after all of the conversations I've had with farmers and vendors over the last year, you all don't want that either. So we're getting some ideas that people can take to not have that in front of them all the time. And plastic-free farmers markets are not a new thing. They're all over the country. In California, basically every farmers market is plastic-free. Even before there was any kind of legislation, 38 markets in San Diego completely banned polystyrene. Sherwood Farms in Wisconsin, Mill City Farmers Market in Minnesota, Rehoboth Beach Farmers Market, none of them have any single-use plastic bags. Some of them take more steps, and we'll get into those now. So Sherwood Farms in Wisconsin, all of their products are sold using paper or biodegradable alternatives. And that includes any bags that produce is in, anything that is used to sample products. So there's no single-use plastic bags, no plastic water bottles, cutlery, or polystyrene. And the way that they're able to do this is they involve the community. So they have volunteers at the market, they have local businesses who help them get this underway. And Rehoboth Beach Farmers Market, right over the bridge from us, they went plastic-free for 2019. The first year, the market provided vendors with bags, and they were able to do that because several local restaurants pitched in to help buy the bags. What's really great about this is the one action by the market has actually inspired vendors to take steps on their own. They've removed polystyrene. A lot of people are providing biodegradable paper, spoons, and cups. There is a difference between biodegradable and compostable, and we'll get into that as well. So Mill City Farmers Market in Minnesota was the first zero waste market in Minnesota, and they've been doing it for 10 years now. And all of their waste is recycled or composted, and the compost is brought to an industrial composting facility and then turned into high quality soil. So this gave the market a 98% landfill diversion rate, and they're able to do that because they don't have trash cans, they have waste stations who are actually manned by volunteers. And again, the way they were able to get this program started was by involving local businesses. And they actually have businesses who are involved to this day, and there's some big ones like General Mills helps out the Mill City Farmers Market.
And also, I don't know whether Charlottesville is plastic free, but they also have a really great composting program at their city market in downtown Charlottesville.
And so this has the advantage of working towards a circular economy, which benefits farmers and farmers markets and keeping your costs down. So composting is pretty common in Virginia. There's a lot of different composting companies that will come and pick up your compost. The first link on the page has a link to litterlist.com, which it has a list of several different composting companies. Black Bear Composting is really good. They're located in Central Virginia, and they will take pretty much any organic materials. They'll actually give you the bins that you need to store the compost before they pick it up. And so this gets your local economy involved, local businesses, and helps to create that circular economy that you're really looking for.
And if any of your farmers markets are taking compost, we would love to hear about it. So send us a note if that's happening in your farmers market.
And going green is really good for business. So it may not be as much of an impact out in some of the more rural areas in Virginia, but up here in Northern Virginia, people will travel to get to the green business. They will travel further if they know that there's a plastic-free farmers market.
Ironically.
Yeah. So over 70% of customers are actively trying to purchase environmentally conscious products. And so that goes all the way down to how the food is grown, where it's grown, how it's packaged. And that's why a lot of people are going to farmers markets, because the food is coming from so close. The people who are selling it to you are also eating it. That's a huge draw. And going even further, 80% of consumers, they expect products to be designed that can be reused or recycled. And people don't want to go to farmers markets only to be confronted with single-use plastics. It's just the bags on the post, it became so familiar over our lifetime. Even as a little kid, I go to the grocery store and you grab the bags for your produce. So it's just creating the new habit that single-use items are on the way out. Reusables are really easy to use. So a few strategies that people can use. The easiest one that drastically cuts plastic bag use is just keeping all your bags behind your table so people have to ask you. In Fairfax County, we did have some success with that, but it was usually only the days we were at the market. So we'd spend one day a month at each of the markets. And so I'd go out in June and some of the vendors would agree to keep bags behind their table. And then I go back out in July and the bags are out on every post. And so it takes buy-in from all of the vendors at the market. If only one person does it, they're left out on an island, and that's just not sustainable to get people to keep doing it. So it really takes full buy-in, and that buy-in is achieved by market managers making sure all the vendors know that they are serious about making their market more sustainable. And so as you're looking to buy the materials that you need, when you're buying paper or biodegradable bags, yes, they are more expensive. You can use group buying to get better prices. And the ultimate goal of these programs is to cut that cost out for you completely.
First question. Yeah, and Zach's looking at the questions right now, and I'll just finish up with this slide, and then he's going to respond to Lynn's question about the statistics, because I don't know the answer to that one. But if you do, as you're launching your farmers market for the spring, if it's not year round, if you can try to keep track of, ask your vendors to keep track of how many plastic bags they're going through. You'll certainly get a better idea of just like how many, the market itself is going through. One of the interesting things that we have run across, and I'm not sure whether the statistic is in these slides or not, is that we found that people use more plastic bags at farmers markets than they would at the produce section of their grocery store for whatever reason. And we think it might be because of that. If you think back to the slide from a couple slides ago, where like literally on every corner there is like a packet of 100 plastic bags, and so people will grab one to put their carrots in, and then they'll grab one to put their melon in, and then they'll grab one to put their whatever in. And so things that have an automatic wrapper on them, like melons or whatever, they are still putting it in a plastic bag because it's just what people do. And if you remove that temptation to just grab all the plastic bags in the universe, then you will use fewer of them. And then if you decide that you want to try to get your market to go plastic bag free, you have that fact. Our market goes through X number of plastic bags every year, and only 1% of them are being recycled. And that is not sustainable, and it's bad for the planet, and here are all the reasons why, and we'd like to move to something different. But you will only know if you do the work to keep track of those bags. Zach, do you have an answer to that question?
So for Lynn's question, are these statistics for people in the DMV area? They are national statistics from a national survey conducted by the Wall Street Journal. The next question from OVR OPA: what do you say to vendors that argue that reusable bags increase the risk of transferring harmful microbes from one customer to the next? So that original study was done in 2010 at the University of Arizona. What they found in these shopping bags was 8% had E. coli in them. What it doesn't say is that E. coli is a normal part of our gut biome. Of the 6 types that can harm humans, none of them were found in bags. E. coli itself is not a pathogen. It can be a signifier of a problem with meat or a problem of meat or fecal contamination, but the presence of E. coli itself is normal. It's on everything in the world. Our cell phones, our computer keyboards are far dirtier than any bag that's ever been tested, and the bags are machine washable, so people should still be washing them. We'll get to...
We're just looking at the other questions to see if we should.
Tosa farmersmarket.com started composting last season, but they have to suspend or slow it down as there is now a glut of compostable wares breaking down with not enough outlet to sell it. They're focusing on composting food and scraps only.
Yeah, that is one of those things that people really do want to do the right thing, and so sometimes you end up with way too much of the right thing.
Can you repeat the stat about how much water and petroleum used to make plastic bags? I sure can. So plastic bags are made from ethane, which is a byproduct of natural gas fracking. Making 1,500 plastic bags consumes about 33 pounds of fossil fuel and 58 gallons of fresh water. And only 1% are recycled every year. And recycling 1 ton of plastic bags costs about $4,000, and it can only be resold for about $32.
So we'll have, if we don't have all of these stats up on our cleanfairfax.org website, we'll definitely get a fact sheet up. But a lot of this information is already up there because we've been working on trying to get rid of plastic bags in regular grocery stores for a while. So this is one of those things that we've been working on. Some more strategies to work into your farmer's market is to have these reusable produce bags available for $1. We actually, we'll show you some pictures of the ones that we give out for free. We just eat the cost. That we have made by a woman in Virginia Beach. And we've also gotten some even cheaper at Amazon that are made from old water bottles, old plastic bottles. And so if you have these reusable produce bags available and reduce the number of plastic bags available, we believe that you will see an increase in people reusing their reusable plastic bags. Um, Also, a good strategy is to have your vendors have pre-weighed baskets, so baskets with tear weight already on them, and have the customers use those as they shop, and then weigh the produce and then transfer them into the customer's, canvas bag or their own basket. And don't be afraid to tell customers why limitless free plastic bags aren't free, and they're not environmentally conscientious, and they really have no business at a farmer's market. And if you include the community in your efforts, as we have shown in the previous slide, I think also the Wisconsin farmers market, the first year, businesses underwrote the cost of paper bags, and with the understanding that the vendors would have to provide their own paper bags the second year. And the vendors were fully on board with that. And in fact, they even believed that it had increased their business because they were able to use that market in their marketing materials as a plastic-free farmers market.
And so all of this is working towards a circular economy, which is just an economic system that's aimed at eliminating waste and the continual use of resources. Circular systems employ reuse, sharing, repair, refurbishment, remanufacturing, and recycling to create a closed-loop system, minimizing the use of resource inputs and the creation of waste, pollution, and carbon emissions. So a circular economy aims to keep products, equipment, and infrastructure in use for longer, improving the productivity of these resources. All waste should become food for another process, either a byproduct or recovered resource for another process, or as a regenerative resource for nature, like compost. The regenerative approach is in contrast to the traditional linear economy, which has a take, make, dispose model of production. And consumers will need to adjust to not having unlimited plastic bags for their use at markets. The transition is easier if you're open and honest about why you decided to make the changes. The customers will be receptive. So these are the machine washable produce bags that Jen just mentioned. There are pretty much countless different types. You can make them really easily yourself. There was a nonprofit in Fredericksburg at the Fredericksburg Farmers Market who actually went out with the material and a sewing machine and was sewing produce bags for people to use at the market. It was the same idea as our produce bag program. It was to highlight the issue and help customers and vendors understand that there's a different product that they can use.
Zach's going to take another question.
So this is, Becky said, at a grocery store, people can set a melon directly into a cart. Bags make things easier to carry as well. We have a couple little red wagons for people to use. That's awesome. But many would rather show their price by carrying 12 bags on their arms. I'm also getting people to plan ahead, maybe clean cardboard boxes available so things like melons don't roll around and damage produce in the car. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, especially the red wagons. That is definitely helpful.
And I think too, if we go all the way back to the beginning of our presentation where we talked about the take a bag, leave a bag, it's not just for these net produce bags, but we used like every available grocery bag, non-disposable one, like even the non-woven polypropylene ones and the ones from Wegmans and the ones from Safeway. Those are perfect for putting melons in, especially if you don't have to deal with the tear weight on them. So I think the more that people see that they can put their produce in a reusable bag just as easily as they can put it in a flimsy plastic bag, they will eventually default to bringing their own bags. We have found that there are lots of people who sort of follow us around the market when we're doing our own shopping personally. Zach and I we live in opposite ends of we actually don't even live in Fairfax County. I live in Prince William and he lives in the district. So we go to completely different markets, but we both find that people sort of follow us around and will ask us questions like, oh, wow, you always, we see you at the market every week and you always have your own bags. And I say, it's because I've committed. I'm committed. And if I don't have my bag, then I make my husband carry it. That's how committed I am.
So as you're looking for products that are compostable, it's important to look for compostable products and not biodegradable products. Compostable and biodegradable, while used interchangeably, they are not actually interchangeable words. Biodegradable just means that something will eventually break down. So technically, some plastic is biodegradable because it'll biodegrade after 400 years. That's not what we're looking for. A compostable product is something that you can put in your home composting and not have to worry about sending to an industrial facility. The industrial facilities are special because they get the compost to over 130 degrees.
I'm sorry, we were just so excited to see that question about shopping carts, because we're working on some shopping cart legislation that
That's
if it doesn't go through, I think I just found a home for some shopping carts.
Yeah.
But I'll continue with Zach's thought. One of the reasons this is really important to us is because we work literally cleaning the streams of Fairfax County. And most of what we find in the streams is plastic. And so we would love for people to move away from plastic, which will not degrade in our lifetime, and move towards, if they're going to use disposable stuff, move towards something that we're never going to see again in a stream. And so all of the things on your screen right now will break down into non-harmful products in the woods, in the stream, within probably a quarter. And I can tell you that this is actually the second time I've bought those cups, because the first time they sat in a box on my carport and got wet, and they biodegraded right in their own box. That's how quickly they biodegrade. So you wouldn't want to use it often. I have to say that I'm not sure that I love those cups a lot, but I think for like sips of stuff and little bits of things, they're perfect. The eco-tainer is perfect for hot beverages. And these little bowls are, I think, are made from sugar cane, if I remember correctly, and they're perfect size for ice cream. And so if someone didn't manage to get that into a trash can, or it blew out of a trash truck and it ended up in one of the streams that we're cleaning up, the chances of us seeing it are very slim. So that is what led us to this whole thing, is that we want to see less plastic in our streams. And so if it means that people transition from plastic to reusable, awesome. And if they transition from plastic to biodegradable, that's awesome too. Here's some more pictures. This is also like a to-go container. It would probably hold like 2 hot dogs and some macaroni and cheese and maybe some cheesy tots. And then there's a picture of the little ice cream container. It's actually a perfect little ice cream container. This is a bag that we did with the Fairfax County Farmers Markets last year, I guess, or the year before last. It's actually an organic canvas made from recycled canvas, recycled cotton. It has a gusseted bag bottom with a hard, what's that stuff called? That's like a fiberboard on the bottom so that it opens. And there's actually a picture of it. I don't know, I guess there isn't a picture of it, but it holds a ton of stuff. It's easily as big as a Whole Foods or a Trader Joe's bag, paper bag. It's very strong. We make it very clear that these are machine washable. All of our bags that we give out say that they are machine washable, because we do get a lot of chatter back from people saying that they want these plastic bags that come from China to be pristine and pure, which, you really can't guarantee that, sort of like straws, but just like sponges and dishcloths and towels, you would wash your bags. We do tell people to go ahead and wash their bags. This is a Biobag that we bought a box of on Amazon, and I threw one in my composter over the summer, and it took like a week for it to break down. So it's a t-shirt bag. It's I would probably not want to put a lot of wet stuff in it. It's perfect for dry stuff, like melons and things that people insist on putting in bags. But I wouldn't want to put like wet greens in it because it will start to break down pretty quickly, because that's how good it is. There's the box for the Biobag. I think it's funny because it's got a cat and a dog after it, so it's sort of implied that you would pick up after your dog with it, but I'm not sure that, honestly, I'm not sure that I would want to, because they really do break down pretty quickly, which is what's awesome about them. I will never see a Biobag in the wild. Oh, and I guess this is a picture of the big grocery bag. And these are wooden nickels. Now, this was a project that I tried to start before Zach got here, where we gave the vendors a whole bunch of these wooden nickels. And every time a customer came up and had their own bag and wasn't using a plastic bag, they got a wooden nickel. And at the end of the farmer's market season, or after they had amassed a certain number of wooden nickels, they could cash them in with us for some swag, like a really nice Yeti mug, or a good water bottle, or a really nice one of those Fairfax County and Clean Fairfax reusable bags, canvas bags. But we couldn't get the farmers market, the farmers to really go for it, because there was no leadership with the, how shall I say, the market managers and the Fairfax County folks who run the markets. So we're going to try it with a different set of farmers markets next year. And we're hoping that it's an incentive program, as an incentive for people to try to get away from using plastic bags. So here's our information. If you want to jot that down or whatever, and visit our website. We're going to be launching a podcast series soon. This will actually be a big part of our podcast, is ways to get to greener at the farmer's market, at your office, at your home, at your school. I think that there's a lot of interest in doing this. One of the things that we have found in the work that we do is that there's a lot of this sort of overarching, huge climate change work that's so important that people are doing, but at the same time, there's all of this little low-hanging fruit that we could be working on, like getting plastic bags out of farmers markets. And, we're not too proud to do the little work, because we think it's important too. So Zach's going to look at the questions now. So if you have any questions about anything, or you want to add anything to the discussion, we'll happily answer questions.
So from Debbie, our vendors use biodegradable produce bags from the market. They recently lost their vendor, or their vendor stopped making them. They haven't been able to find another one, asking if we have a list or vendors selling wholesale biodegradable produce bags. I don't have that right now, but we can definitely put one together, and we'll send it over to BAFMA and they can cycle that around. From Nella Mae Parks, I'm a farmer. I sell salad mix in plastic bags.
We're okay. There are some things that can't be not put in plastic bags. Salad mix, I feel like, is one of those things. I wonder, though, if there's a way that you could have a couple of, and we'd be happy to send you some reusable bags to try out, where you could actually put your salad mix in like 10 reusable bags for a market and see who responds to that. So if you want to shoot us your email or your mailing address, we'll put a package of reusable bags in the mail to you. And because I do think that it would be an interesting experiment to see whether or not people would pay an extra 50 cents or $1 to get their salad mix in a reusable bag. But we recognize that there are some things that come prepackaged, and that we're not asking for every farmer's market in the universe to become plastic free. But those t-shirt bags, those dudes got to go.
I don't have the question in front of me, but I think it was a market in Vermont that said they are getting rid of t-shirt bags next year. And they've been composting for 5 years. That's awesome. Keep up the great work.
Let's see. We're looking through the questions right now. Santa Fe Farmers Market composts at all their markets. Yay. Let's see. Lincoln, Nebraska composts. I'm sorry. This is our first time doing a webinar, so we're just trying to figure out all these little questions. I am not surprised at Waitsfield's Farmers Market, Vermont. Thank you very much. I am a proud Norwich University alumna. But you know what? It's little steps, honestly. So you start with composting, and then you ask vendors to reduce the number of plastic bags, like have them just have one plastic bag pile available or have them behind the counter. And then you know, see whether or not you can get people to use fewer plastic bags. But the take a bag, leave a bag thing is really awesome. So if you have volunteer market managers, which is what we have here at the Fairfax County farmers markets, they're pretty excited to have the take a bag, leave a bag. And it's really pretty easy because I know that I must have like 300 reusable bags in my suite of bag offerings, because I just refuse to use a plastic bag when I go shopping. And if I forget one, I will literally just buy another one because I know I can donate it to something. And so we'll see if we can find out more information about the greens and salad bag. But honestly, if there are folks on the line here who want a couple of the reusable bags from us, whether you're in Virginia or not, it doesn't matter. We are working to help everybody. So send us an email with your address and we'll send you a bunch, and you can you can put some out, like put out, 25 bags of greens in your plastic bags and 25 greens in the reusable bags, and mark them up 50 cents and see, who salutes it. And we would love to hear how it works. To be honest, maybe we'll have you on our podcast. We don't know about any grants for implementing composting bags or utensils or reusable plastic bags, but I would recommend that everyone look at a couple of things. One is if you have any kind of community foundation in your community, that would be the place to look. Donor advised funds in a community foundation often love things like these very specific projects, pilot projects. Check with your county or town to see if they are interested in partnering with you. They may have an extra, $1,000 to spend on something like this. And Brian Moore, we got your information. We will send that to you. It really is. All you have to do is ask. The worst that people can say is no, right? So, we'll see if we can find some resources out there, but so many of those kinds of grants are very local and regional dependent. So what we would have access to in Northern Virginia might not be what you have access to in Nebraska. But universities are also a really good place to check for seed money for something like this. Let's see.
How well did the Leave a Bag, Take a Bag program work? So it worked really well. people were really excited when they saw it. And so as we're able to have more conversations and spread the idea more, people actually started to bring bags in from home. We had a couple people who had bought big batches of reusable bags for conferences they were hosting, and they ended up bringing them to the market. So that part was definitely a success as far as the conversations and creating new habits. Not a success as far as limiting the amount of plastic bags that are used at the market.
And now, well, we recognize that Northern Virginia is an incredibly overpopulated place. Well, I won't say overpopulated, but well-populated place. I mean, there's like 4 million people. And if you add in like DC and parts of Maryland, we're talking about 6 million people. So we're not rural by any stretch of the imagination. So we have a lot of big businesses here. So we have a lot of people that will show up with 100 bags to donate to our Take a Bag, Leave a Bag program. So we appreciate that the smaller markets might not be able to have that kind of capacity. But again, you won't know until you try. You won't know until you ask if people will contribute to that sort of thing by giving some of their bags up, or checking at your local grocery store and just say, hey, do you think you could donate 100 bags? Because that's nothing for them. 100 reusable bags to our Take a Bag, Leave a Bag program. We'll put your logo on a sign at the event that says that you're a sponsor of this. And again, the worst they can do is say no, and they probably will say yes. Let's see. I don't know about reusable dishes and flatware on site. It wouldn't surprise me if Portland, Oregon does it, but we'll look into it, and we'll you know, if we find out anything, we'll make a little Facebook post about it. I'm not really sure how to get a hold of everybody on this this webinar, except to say, you know, follow us on social media, because we post 2 news articles a day during the week usually, and so we'll try to get to some of these questions that you have by doing that. Does anyone have any other questions? Did we miss any questions?
Hey, this is Mary, and I'll send the contact information out to everybody that's registered here. So you don't email us at info@vafma.org for the bags, although we can always forward on the information to Jen and Zach. But I will send an email out with, it'll have a link to a survey just asking for your feedback on this webinar and about any topics you want us to address in the future. I'll also have any links that they provide us for, you know, sourcing bags, or you know, any other information, links to their social media. So you'll all get that email, and along with a recording of this webinar, in case you want to go back and watch it again. So that'll come out tomorrow, once we get everything all together, and I'll get it out to you. But any other questions from anybody? Well, if not, thank you so much, guys. This was tremendous, great information, and I know it's scratching the surface, and we're gonna hopefully be able to provide more in the future, and we'll definitely get the word out about your podcast when you share that information with us, because this is a topic that will continue to be very, very timely and very important. For those of you who like learning via webinars like this, join our e-news. We send out monthly, bi-monthly, twice a month to once a month notifications about upcoming webinars and programs that we have. And you can find the sign up on our website at vafma.org. That's VAFMA.org. Also, market managers, if you are interested in learning more about market management, we have a certification course that starts on January 24th. It's a 14-week program, and we still have some openings. So visit our website for details. That's vafma.org. Again, thank you so much, Jen and Zach. We will continue to get the information out to everybody via our email.
It was great to talk to everyone. Thank you so much for your time today, and we'd love to hear from you if anyone has any more questions or comments.
Great. All right. Bye-bye.